And we're back with the Classic Auto Mall podcast from the Classic Auto Mall studios in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, with my buddy Kevin Mazzucola from the Philly Auto Show, Pennsylvania Auto Show.
Right state.
Right state. Right, as my grandmother used to say, right church, wrong pew.
They never let me in usually.
Well, lightning can strike in odd places, right?
That's
Kevin, thanks so much for being on the show today. I know you got a busy day today. And
it's my pleasure. I was going over to the Hershey for a meeting, but wanted to stop in, and it's been a while since I've been here.
It's changed a little.
I remember we were talking. It used to be a furniture store with that beautiful oak.
Yeah.
And
he said with a little tone.
Yeah, and now you have beautiful metal that harkens back to memories, which is kind of like what the auto show does, especially in some of the areas of the show.
Absolutely. You know, what's really cool is the auto shows, not just you guys, but a lot of them realize that the collector car world should be participating in these because people like to see the comparison between new and old.
Yeah, it is. You know, the Philly Auto Show is iconic and it's generational.
Right.
And what better way on generational to have what we call back in the day way, where I know you'll be participating, AACA, and our friends from that organization. But it is, we do surveys at the end of the show to find out what went well, what didn't, what was hot, what was not.
Right.
And the classic vehicles rank right up there with the exotics some
Isn't
years.
that crazy?
Because it's memories, because grandpas are bringing grandsons or dads or moms, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, but you should go see this car when I was a kid, because cars are memories. Right?
Absolutely. Well, and we see that here all the time where people come into Classic Auto Mall, and they're not into cars, they're not car people, yet all of a sudden they go, wow, this has brought back memories. And I wasn't thinking of that when I came.
There's no product that a person buys over the years that is more attuned to that person and their family because of the memories. You don't remember your last tube of toothpaste.
Right.
You don't, maybe at home, I understand that,
Yeah.
but you're not in your home with Sally at the drive-in in 1973.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not taking somebody to the prom, and we saw that with the pandemic. People, not that we didn't have a love affair, but that was a safe place, and that's why you saw sales in this country explode beyond.
It was crazy.
And there wasn't enough of them because
because
they wanted something nicer, newer, and a safe place so they could go to the birthday or the bar mitzvahs, or even my daughter's prom was cars going by, you know, so it was a weird time, and I think that really reinforced what the motor vehicle is to people in most cases.
Right. When the pandemic hit, did you feel like we did that maybe it was over, that there was going to be no coming back at it? I mean, I thought for us, we were going to close and be done.
Yeah. I'll say it on the dealer side, not the show side.
Sure.
But on the dealer side, yes, you know, if you remember, we could not even legally sell automobiles in the state of Pennsylvania for a significant period of time. That's like a baker can't sell a cake.
Right.
And then you had a hodgepodges of different states allowing sales in different ways. And so you had New Jersey able to sell, or Delaware, or Ohio, yet we still couldn't because it was on a state-by-state basis. It was an absolute mess, yet no one could ever forecast the consumer and the resiliency and the importance of the motor vehicle in the sales that we saw afterwards. No one could have predicted that. And it was a time that will be on its own 10, 15, 30, 50 years from now. They'll be talking about, you know, what was going on with the pandemic in the automobile industry.
Well, and I think what we realize is we're a pretty resilient country. Yeah. We can get through a lot of stuff. Although it's funny, the liquor stores were closed and people were going over to Delaware. I tried to get, legally or not, I don't know, our kids were going to ship us some boxed wine from Texas. And it didn't work out too good. The package never showed up. I'm not sure if somebody intercepted it or it just got
that's what important stuff back then.
That was, you know, I can guarantee you there's three things we're not going to run out of if there's ever a pandemic: toilet paper, paper towels, and red wine.
There should be a book about that.
I think there should be. Absolutely. So what can you tell us? So we're about 2 months out now from the show. Is that right? Let's see.
The 12th. Well, the black tie is the 12th, and then the show starts the 13th, Saturday.
So we're
January.
So we're a month and a week. That's right.
We're in the throes of it at the office.
This year has gone so fast.
I know.
It is really amazing. So what can you tell us exciting it's going to be coming up at the show in January?
Well, overall shows have struggled with that pandemic, right? We didn't even have a show in 21. And so as things come back, each show is getting bigger. We'll be taking the entire floor at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, and that is important for those people. The number one reason why a show is important is because it's unique.
Right.
Because everybody's going online and digital and maybe even buying a car online, and that's fine for a certain amount of people. But for most, as we said, it's memories, and not everybody buys a new car that often in their life.
Right.
And so it is a unique, tangible way. And that's become more and more valued in the sense of the way the world has changed. And so it makes it more unique. So people are coming, generations, we call it fueling Philadelphia, and we're going to fuel concepts, we're going to fuel classics, we're going to fuel their imagination, and really set the bar in a sense of the consumer and coming to that show and what they expect.
Sure. And one of the things I read that you had said in an interview previously was the fact that a lot of people may do a lot of their purchasing online and ordering and checking and looking, but the last piece of the puzzle is seeing that thing in person.
That's right.
And what better place to do that at a
with not a selling, it's not a selling show.
Right,
so
exactly.
That's why the families come, and they come because the young kids. Well, one, it's January and it's cold, and you can get out. And the average person spends about 4 hours at the show.
Right.
But they get to see things that they only see on a magazine. I've said before, it's the internet in reverse, and people are hungry for that, especially for motor vehicles. So yeah, it says chocolate brown on the screen. Well, you'll see what it is actually at the show, and it's not selling. So you can look through those vehicles and really compare. No pressure. There's product specialists to answer questions, but there's no selling on, which is what makes that special.
Well, and online you can't tell if a car fits you, and that means that can you get the seat adjusted just right? My partner has gargantuan feet, and he has to get he wears like 18s or something, and that's he's got to make sure that his feet will fit up into the well.
Especially SUVs. SUVs and pickup trucks are 80% of the brand new market in this country. It used to be 50-50 not that long ago, and people are there hitting the hatch on these small SUVs, and can they put Charlie, their black lab, in the back, or can they put their crate back in there?
Right.
And that's the beauty, and it's fun, right? Because you have like I said, the classics. You have Custom Alley. You have E-Track, which has become very big. Maybe we'll talk a little later about electrification and what's going on in the country with that in the next segment. But it's a unique way to see that, and it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And have you seen, you talk about nostalgia and talk about how important that is to America. Has everybody here seen the new Chevy Suburban commercial? Oh
yes,
my gosh.
It's a blue?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The lady's got dementia or something there. And it's just, it is, there are some amazing, what they spent to do that commercial was unbelievable.
They captured what they wanted to capture.
Exactly.
And the memory, and we all, everybody, not everybody, but a lot have a family member afflicted, and you don't know what sparks them.
Right.
But I could imagine that Suburban sparking that in that situation with the husband that she's had so long. It was a great commercial.
Especially when, they reveal it. When you take a car cover off of a car, most reveals happen that way, whether it's at a new car show or a hot rod builders unveiling, and it's always taking pulling the curtain back as they pull it back and reveal it. And that was part of it. And I think that's, when you see it in that format, it really makes you, it creates excitement and desire and all that. And that's what you're in the business of.
Sure. And the building that you have here that we're having the studio in is a testament to that, right? Look at the vehicles and the care and the ownership. And you said earlier about a dog and finding a good home. That is a great analogy. They love these vehicles, but for whatever reason, they need to be selling them. And they've had such care. And this is a testament in some ways of why auto shows and why the relationship between the American consumer for over a century is reflected here in these walls.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is that we have literally had deals kicked because the seller wouldn't sell it because he found out the buyer was going to hot rod the car or do something different to him. And he said, I'm not going to sell it to him. I can't know that.
Well, they're family members.
That's right. They absolutely
and
are.
they are family members.
And they're named a lot of
times. They are named.
Isn't that funny?
We had, when I was in high school in Helena, Montana, a buddy of mine had a green 1968 Travelall International Harvester.
Oh, how cool.
And it was only two-wheel drive, and it had like 27 doors. I can't remember. And it had a straight six, whatever it was, 3 on a tree, I think.
Yeah.
And we called it the Unk. And we're going to get the Unk out tonight.
Absolutely.
And we didn't pick up a lot of girls, but we thought we were pretty cool.
Pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
well, Montana wasn't very populated back then. There were many girls to choose from.
There's a joke in there, but
absolutely. Did you do a lot of fly fishing when you were in Montana?
I did fly a lot of skiing. Grew up, born and raised, University of Montana, Harvard of the West, I say when anybody asks.
I love it.
And we're Grizz, so great state. And I ran the Montana auto dealers right out of college.
Really?
And was an assistant lobbyist there. Then I got the head job in Wyoming for the Wyoming auto dealers at the legislature in Cheyenne in 1997. Right. Philadelphia opened up, and long story short, here we are. My wife goes, I I don't know if I want to travel back east. It's a great opportunity.
Right.
We'll mold it. They have a lot of resources. They need somebody young and try to do some things. I was younger then.
Sure.
And
She
says, well, I'm not raising kids there. And I said, well, of course not, honey. 27 years later, we've had a great life so far in Philadelphia.
My wife came here kind of the same way. I told her that if we ever moved again, we were in the center of the state in Lock Haven. If we ever moved again, it was going to be closer to Kansas City where the kids and the grandkids are. And we didn't move closer, but we moved closer to an international airport, which allows it. It's all kind.
It's tough.
It's tough. I mean,
tough.
To move to a new place and to start over, if you will. And did I read correctly that the Philly Auto Show started in 1902?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know. Whoever was the historian, you should see in my office. I have minutes and the budget from I think it was 12 or 13 was like $4,200, $4,300.
That was a lot of money.
Our budget is a lot more than that.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. So, and the consumers, my favorite time at the auto show is Saturday morning when we open up, and watching the young kids with their parents or their grandparents, and running down and looking at those vehicles and running to Camp Jeep or running to the Lamborghinis or running to whatever, and just wide-eyed and just excited. And that makes parents excited, too, to be able to do something with their family as we fuel Philadelphia.
Yeah, we see the same thing here. I mean, it's amazing the way that you see a grandfather, father, and son, and they're just all enjoying it just equally.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is cars do that, because you'll see Grandpa explaining the look of something or what he did to one he had or what happened in that car. And I mean, you just see it every day in here. Yeah. And I would imagine Saturdays are great at the Philly Auto Show, though. There's no question about it, because it is so many people in there. I mean, it is just elbow to elbow of people in a good way.
In a great way. And you got to remember, too, about half of the people that come to the auto show will buy a car in the next 12 months.
Wow.
So there's the business side of that.
Sure.
And we understand that by doing a survey when they come. Are you in the market, or do you think you will buy? But then we survey them, 12 months later, did you buy?
Right.
And that's the business end, and why people utilize that, because they can compare a lot of vehicles in their niche in the atmosphere that you and I described, in a fun way, in a day way, in the middle of winter, and enjoy themselves and see the internet in reverse.
Well, and like we see the same thing at auctions, where it's a mass of available stuff all in one place, so you don't have to drive around to every dealership in town, and that that's traffic and cumbersome, and you got the whole family getting in and out of the car and all that. Now you can go one place, see everything.
Well, and we've evolved. We evolved in two ways. One, that E-Track that we'll talk about, but also evolved in the sense of the consumer now is looking online about what they want.
Absolutely.
And it's a funnel, right? So they're looking at all that, but some of them wait. We see that in sales. If they're now a month out from the show, we can wait a little longer. Let's just compare it to all of these vehicles and not on a computer screen.
Exactly, because it's hard to look at that. Absolutely, 100%. When we return, we'll talk more about the Philly Auto Show, and Kevin will enlighten us about some electric car stuff going on there too.